ironic that most people are probably about to post or are probably editing their wrap-up videos for November. And I'm out here about to post my November TBR, my November reading plans. We love being dramatically late in this house. One of the important things I've learned from my October TBR, I finished late, but I'm still happy that I was able to complete all 5 books for my October TBR. One thing I really learned though was how it's very important to be realistic. I mean, if you're coming back from a nearly 2-year reading slump and you're about to read 5 books in a month, one of which is nearly 900 pages long, it's quite ambitious, right? Quite ambitious. So as of the time that I am filming this, it's already halfway through November. The Lumineers really took up a lot of my time, but I'm still proud of finishing that book. But yeah, that leaves me 2 remaining weeks for the month of November. For this month, I have decided that I'm gonna challenge myself by revisiting a genre that used to be my comfort zone. Yes, the irony is not lost on me that this is my way of challenging myself by going back to a comfort zone genre. I know, I understand. Let me explain. I think like every other average reader, we used to all have this phase when we used to just really focus and trim our book selections under this particular genre because it's the time of our lives when we really appreciate it the most. Exactly, I'm talking about the YA genre. Yes, high school years, college years, yes, even during the early 20s, the YA genre has always been something that's very familiar, very easy to connect to, very accessible, because essentially it's contemporary literature that is keeping up with the times, right? So we really like fiction that we understand very well, that we're really well versed in. YA is also a genre that speaks or articulates so much of our struggle as a young person in our society in the present time, so it really helps to have a book do that for you, right? But somewhere along the road, I had a falling out with YA. I think I have written a particular blog detailing that so many years ago, when I used to still run a book blog where I review books. But yeah, I think part of that, or a major chunk of the reason why, is because I have learned to shift my preference to other genres. So it's probably not really because I have disliked YA, but because I have learned to love other genres more. I have also talked about how I had kind of a rough time this past few weeks, and I decided that there couldn't be a more perfect time for me to come back to YA than this moment when the angst is still somehow fresh. Going back to realism though, since I only have 2 more weeks before November is up, 2 more weeks on the clock, instead of going with my original 5-book lineup for the month of November, I have narrowed it down to just 3 books. So originally the plan that I was thinking of following for the month of November if only October ended as scheduled, was reading YA books that were written by YA women authors. Now, since I wouldn't be able to follow through with the original 5-book lineup that I have slated for this month, I have decided to narrow down the selections into just 3 titles. When I finally narrowed down the list to just 3 book titles, I was so pleasantly surprised to realize that these 3 books actually have another thing in common, aside from the fact that they are also written by women YA authors. In October, I have decided for my theme to be judging books by their covers, wherein I selected 5 books that have blue colored covers. Now, for the month of November, I've decided that I will be judging books based on their main characters or their protagonists. So for this month, I will be reading 3 books that have female protagonists who are in one way or another involved into writing. My strategy has always been going for the shortest book first, and I've decided that I'm never gonna retire the strategy. It has always worked for me. Therefore, my very first book for the month of November, I've decided would be SALINGKIT by Cyan, Abad-Jugo. So, SALINGKIT, from what you can see here, I'm not sure if you can see it. It's a 1986 diary, so this is actually a historical fiction that is set during the 80s, during the time of people power in the Philippines. Cyan Abad-Jugo is of course a Filipino writer, and I really want to have a representation for this selection still. That's why I made sure to include this book. So, half of this book is narrated in the form of diary entries written by Kitty. That's the name of our protagonist here. And she's in high school in the midst of all this turmoil during the era of people power. I do think that I'm gonna be finishing it by probably tomorrow. Which means the video will be up soon, so I'll probably not talk more about this now. So yeah, the first book would be SALINGKIT by Cyan Abad-Jugo, a 1986 diary. Second book I've decided would be FANGIR by Rowell. Similar to the Luminaries, I've kept this on my shelf for also so many years. 6 years, I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's been on my shelf for too long, and I've never really, I don't know, I do not recall, I don't think I even know the exact reason why I've delayed reading this book. Probably because that was during the time when I had the falling out of YA phase, so I felt like I just was never really in the mood to pick this one up. Therefore, it just stayed there on my shelf. But better late than never, right? So I thought this would be a good time to start it. Really, the idea of reading books that had been on my TBR for a ridiculous amount of time is making me so happy. It's a different kind of joy to finally know that this book that you've had for so long is finally a book that you can say you have read. So, from the title itself, FANGIR, and from what I can see on the synopsis at the back, our protagonist is into fan fiction, and it's interesting to me because I have written fan fiction myself. I don't know how much of this is gonna resonate with me, but this looks very promising and looks like something that I would really enjoy. I have read Rainbow Rowell before. I read Eleanor and Park, but I think my absolute favorite from her would be Attachments. It's crazy because I've read Attachments, which is a workplace-based novel, when I was still a teenager, when I was still in college, but I preferred it over Eleanor and Park. I don't know. But yeah, let's see if Fangirl would make me remember my teenage years. I'm still very much a fangirl right now, even though I'm much, much older, but let's see. Third and final book for the month is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I would say that among the three titles, this is the one I am most excited about. Elizabeth Acevedo is a much celebrated Afro-Latina author, writer, poet. And this particular book, I've been hearing about for so many years. It's been around for a long time. And I've only really had a chance to purchase it this month, and I thought it would be perfect for this theme because I'm actually still not sure. I'm not reading the synopsis in full, but I don't know if this is gonna be based on her real life experience or if this is fiction. I just know that this is a prose that's told in verses or in poetry, so I'm really excited about that. And our main character is about to, I don't know, learn, start or join or whatever, spoken word poetry. So that's an aspect that I'm really looking forward to. This is also a multi-awarded book, which raised my expectations really high, but for some reason I have faith that it will live up to my ridiculously high expectations right now. Also, this cover, I would never get tired. The cover is just gorgeous. Yeah. Right, so my final book, I hope I finish it this time according to my timeline. I'm gonna enjoy this for sure. Yay, so these are the three books that I'm gonna be reading for the month of November. Books that have female protagonists who are into writing. I know that theme is really specific, but I was just really surprised that the three of them has that common factor. We have someone who writes diary entries during a time in the Philippines where the nation is in political turmoil, and then we have a contemporary YA, a fangirl who is starting college and is into fan fiction, and then we have I think she's in high school, I'm not sure, but we have a poet who is about to discover spoken word poetry. I am so pumped with these three titles. Right now, I'm already having a good time, so I'm looking forward to finishing all of them exactly at the end of November, hopefully. But yeah, I will just have a really good time enjoying these three books. What are you planning to read for November? And how's your reading month so far? Are you happy with your reading choices? Because I am. So I hope it's not too late, but I hope you have a good reading month for the month of November. Thank you so much for watching.